that's when I saw the lifetime as a witch, where I was burned as a witch. I didn't see what the lifetime was. I just saw where I was burned. And I saw him burned at the stake, and I saw him, who I recognized, pacing back and forth. It was very eerie. While I'm floating above my body being burned as a witch. It was in Germany. I remember that. And, I was probably an herbalist or a healer or something. And I felt pure hate from him in that moment as I was seeing that lifetime.
Today we have Sharon Sananda Kumara, who had 2 NDEs, also an avid out-of-body traveler, a spiritual counselor, psychic medium, author, teaches metaphysical courses, and also published her very first book, Awakened Soul. Beautiful, stunning book, and we're so excited to have Sharon. Oh, you have it there too.
I have it right here. It's my baby. Yeah.
Oh, it's sweet, beautiful, the most cutest baby and the most excited baby that you're ever going to meet. So I'm so excited to have Sharon on the Celestial podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Tanya. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Yes.
Sharon, can you, I don't know where to start because you've already had, you began the journey itself in a very exciting manner, right? So what I wanted to talk more about is all of your past lives that you remembered, right? It's so exciting, from a mermaid to an amoeba to the witch being burnt at the stake. Like, it's so exciting.
Of course, yes. Well, a little bit of my history. I was not spiritually leaning during my life before my NDE, my near-death experience in 2001. So I was raised Catholic, but I was not religious, and I was not a good Catholic, and I was kind of a partier, living in the U.S. and Texas, and didn't wasn't spiritual at all. Just lived life in the normal lane, kind of the fast lane, and partying. And then my stepfather passed, and he was the first person that I was close to that died, and I needed to know what happens when we die. It was very traumatic for me, and so I started buying books on the afterlife, and something woke me up with that, and I began having spontaneous out-of-body experiences, and I was doing that, and I learned how to control my out-of-body experiences. I still practice with that, and that's my next book that I'm working on now, is to dive deeper, and I do write about out-of-body experiences in my first book, Awakened Soul. And so I was able to move through past lives in my out-of-body experiences as well and access those. So I started with that. Then I had my NDE in 2001, okay, and that story's out there, and plus it's in my book, but I dive a lot deeper into that, where I fell out of the back of a bus and was run over. My head was run over, so I popped out of my body and was met by Christ. Christ took me to a water world once we merged, and he helped heal my body. And that can complete stories in the book, but he took me to a water world, and I don't consider it a past life. It's another reality for me. It's a parallel life. I mean, when we get out of the linear time of looking at things, linear way of looking at things, time is an illusion. We live in different realities, past, present, and future, and parallel. So, well, future, of course, is malleable, but I realized that this was a home for me in this water world, and that was very profound for me. And he took me there, and I had a really profound experience there, and met my family, my water, aquatic family, and I dive into that in my book as well. And and so he told me it wasn't my time. My stepfather also met me in my NDE and said it wasn't my time. So I argued with Yeshua and said, "But I want to stay with you," like a lot of us do, right? I want to stay here. I want to stay here, and he helped me understand that hadn't finished my work on the planet. So on this planet, my mission here. We all have our mission. We all have our life plan. And so he said, he told what did it for me was he told me, once you finish your mission on the planet on Earth, you can come here anytime and have your focus, a lot of your focus of your soul back here on this planet with your mer world, or you can go wherever you want. You know what I mean? Earth is just something that you can look back on or help from the higher planes. So I said, okay, all right, I'll make a deal
Can't
with you
pay to go
though.
back.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I'll make a deal as long as I know that you're with me all the time, standing next to me, helping me through this, and consciously be able to feel you. And he said, okay, it's a deal. And boom, I was back. It took me a little while to remember my near death experience though, because it was so profound and so intense. And he and back to your question, when I did, actually my mother had to pass in order for me to find his, she brought him into my awareness again. uh, and I he helped me get through feelings of that we all carry with us, not feeling worthy of his presence or a higher power, higher being. I mean, I haven't met anyone that doesn't have that going on with them in some way, somehow. So he helped me heal that, because I realized I had been there a long time. So, all right, I made a commitment to be with him in meditation every evening at 9 p.m. once I started working with him. And that's when I started seeing past lives. I actually saw this lifetime first, or started seeing this lifetime as a child, because I didn't remember a lot of my childhood. And so I was able to see crazy stuff as as a child in this lifetime. And then that opened the door for me to be able to see past lives and heal those. And the reason they were coming up is because they needed healing. And the what you were referring to was the soul clearing, where I remembered being a spark from God, and the amoeba and the elementals. And I'm working on my audio book now, the audio version of it, and I just got through that chapter with the audio version. And yeah, that was crazy, all the way from the spark and all of my incarnations, and with this earth planet, all the forms I took, that we take, back to the spark. It happened all through the night, where I was seeing this cycle that I that I had gone through. I'm going through. So that was crazy. Yeah.
You know, if you search for Sharon Sananda Kumara on YouTube, you're going to see so many videos. Every single one of them is exciting, one after the other. It just gets more and more thrilling. Now, everything like Sharon, the NDE that Sharon went through, that is itself a long episode. And because we already have it on YouTube, I wanted to dive into the past lives, but I would want Sharon, hopefully, to come back again and speak about the NDE. It's very
Oh, I'd
profound.
love to.
Oh, that would
Thank
be
you.
beautiful. Thank you so much. So, Sharon had the NDE, and then she also mentioned about how after the NDE, the first thing that you started remembering was your life as a child. And maybe we could get into that, because you said that you didn't remember a lot of the things because of what was happening, and you were popping out of your body. You were having these out of body experiences at that point of time. And this is important because that life is connected to so many other past lives as well, right? What happened? So, can you tell us about what happened, why you didn't remember, and how you started remembering it? And I know this is difficult, but thank you so much.
Oh, of course. Yes. Well, I started remembering it during meditation. The memories started coming up, and I remembered that I was going through abuse as a child, physical, sexual abuse, from a distant family member is one in particular that I remembered. Afterwards, I did remember there was more than one, but they were not my immediate family. um, just to make that clear, because I do write about my immediate family in the book. Now, as I was remembering, I I was the reason I knew, how do I put it? As the memories come up, I could feel the pain that was suppressed. I could feel the emotion. I could feel, and I describe in the book, I could smell the vomit because I had, vomited in one in particular, a lot of them. I could feel that because as, as a child, a lot of that's what happens. I studied a little bit afterwards that with trauma, that type of trauma or any kind of trauma, we kind of leave. We just leave sometimes. We just disconnect and disengage, and that's what I was doing.
Hey guys, if you've been enjoying this video so far, please make sure to support this channel. You can either subscribe to the channel, leave a like or a comment, or even share it with your family and friends. Apparently, it helps with the algorithm and I have no idea how that works. Also, I'm sending out weekly love notes where I'm sharing with you my own personal spirituality journey, and also we'll keep you posted on the upcoming community events that we have. We have a lot lined up for you. We've got group channeling events, Akashic record reading events, and a lot of such community events that I think you're going to absolutely love. All you have to do is go to www.celestevolve.com/love notes. Now let's get back to the video.
You know, one of the guests who came on as well said the same thing, where when she was a child too, she was going through these abuses by the neighbor. That time too, she popped out of her body and she was watching everything from the top. So like it's not the first time I'm hearing this. Is I've heard this so many times as well, because it's just extreme trauma that a child is going through. And that's just that's the way the angels are protecting their soul, because their soul doesn't probably need to remember it. Is that what do you think? What are your thoughts on that? Like, why you're leaving the body at that point of time?
Yeah, I totally believe that we are the subconscious, our guidance, our higher self, our angels, however we want to term it, protects us and takes us out of the situation. So, and because I have clear memory of that in my meditations, of being floating above my body and watching from that perspective, seeing that. Yeah, and in my first NDE, and I remembered my first NDE when I was 9 after my 2001 NDE. And I've heard other people talk about that who have had NDEs later on in life, that they remembered they had one when they were a child. And I think a lot more people have had near-death experiences than we could even imagine. It's just that sometimes it's a lot to remember sometimes, and that's why it took me for a couple of years to be able to put a lot of it together. I was getting pieces of it, but it didn't make sense until I was doing the work. And not that I thought I had an NDE, I didn't really know, but then it just it all and I share that in the book, is like just all of a sudden made sense why I was having these different memories and experiences and out of body experiences as well. Yeah, so I remembered that as a child, and I had repressed a lot of my childhood because of that.
So you also spoke about how you remember seeing extraterrestrials in your room as well. Can you talk about that too?
Yes, I started gaining memories, or remembering that during the abuse, they weren't only in my room; they'd show up when I was going through the abuse. Three gray little grays would show up for me. I could see this in my meditations, and when I was tapping in these memories, I was actually there, but I was watching it. So, but I was there. Okay. I would start feeling the feeling of it. It would come up in my body where I'd feel sick and that kind of thing, and get a knot in my stomach, or something like that, or break out in sweats. But then as soon as I go into the memory, I'd shoot up out of my body and watch it. And when I was going through the torture and everything that was going on, these three grays would show up, and I had no idea about extraterrestrials. This is 20 something years ago. In 2002, 2003 was what it was going on. 21, 22 years ago. I didn't know anything about extraterrestrials. So I see these three grays take me out of the situation, freeze the perpetrator, freeze, he'd be in this stasis, and remove me from the situation. So that shocked me.
You know, it's like those, which is that movie, the Keanu Reeves movie, Matrix, right? And the Matrix 2, there's that, where they freeze and then they move out the bullets or something, or they're able to slow down time. and they could do these things. Even in Dolores Cannon's book too, she said that apparently in the Bible there is a part where it says that um, during the end of times the person next to you would be taken away. So what they were saying is that there were moments in time where on the planet time was frozen, everybody was put to sleep, and then they make changes to the planet. Like whatever destruction is happening, they would take it away. They would stop the atomic bombs, etc., and then they would turn the time back on, and everyone would just go back to life normal. So it's like crazy. So it looks like something like that for you.
Yeah, it happened a few times. There was a couple times where they took me to their ship to repair my body because it was so battered. And I've read Dolores Cannon's books, and I don't remember that. Was that in the Convoluted Universe series? Yeah, okay. Yeah, those were so mind blowing. And at the time when I was having these memories and experiences, I didn't even hear of Dolores Cannon or The Matrix or anything like that. So, yeah, it's funny how when you're going through all these things that later on in life, so many things confirm your experiences because I didn't have anyone to talk to about them. I talked to my sister, but she couldn't relate. So, but still, who you go to now? It's all out there. I'm like, yes, that's what I was experiencing. Yes.
Yeah. Now it's just like it's become the new norm. It's like the cool thing. So
Yeah,
everyone else is just mortals. Oh, you don't know what's happening out there. You know, this is not the real world. So it's like a cool, cool time to be in right now. You know, at one
definitely.
point, you were saying that you were remembering these repressed memories at one point, and then the time where you were getting a heart attack, and Yeshua told you at that point, I think you were vegan at that point of time, and he asked you to go and have a Wendy's burger. And you know what? That was actually amazing because we, in the spirituality community, right? We talk about how this is bad, that is just don't eat that. You won't be able to communicate with the higher spirits and higher realm if you eat like a Wendy's burger. So when you said that Yeshua asked you to eat a Wendy's burger and then be grateful about all the people who brought it to you, that changed so much in me, you know? Can you talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. At the time, I wasn't really eating that much. I was fasting a lot and I was vegetarian or vegan. And I was having panic and anxiety attacks like crazy. I mean, like crazy. And I ended up in the hospital 3 times with panic attacks. And this was one time where I was at work actually, and I started having a panic attack. And I thought I was having a heart attack because I could actually feel pain in the left side of my arm and my jaw and everything. And and I'm running around like a crazy person asking people to call an ambulance, you know. And I people were like, okay. So I waited so if someone called an ambulance for me because I was not in a good space. And I was in the ambulance, and because my heart rate was very high, it was super high by the time even by the time the ambulance got there. So I was in the ambulance, and uh, my mother had already passed, and I could see her talking to me through the EMT. I could hear her voice. It was her eyes, and they were telling me to look at something green. Look at the plants. Look at everything green. Bring that into your heart center. Help your heart, calm your heart, and heal your heart because my heart was going like crazy. and and then I did end. They took me to the hospital, and my partner at the time came to see me, and I said, I'm good. I just want to get out of here. So he went and got the car, and I pulled out the IV and took off out of the hospital. And on the way home, I hear Yeshua's voice in my head saying, "Stop and get a burger. You need something to eat," because I hadn't been eating, and you know, I wasn't eating meat or hardly anything. So we ended up going to Wendy's, and he got me a burger, and I sat outside, and I heard him in my head, just as clear as I hear you, before I ate it, and he said, we give thanks. We give thanks for, we are grateful for the animal that gave its life. We are grateful for the plants that gave their animals, the plants that gave their life. We are grateful for the packagers. We are grateful for the renderers. We are grateful for the store, that provided the packaging or whatever. This big long line of people that, and the everything that that brought that hamburger to me, and it really affected me, like you said, like, oh my gosh, look at everything that goes into just bringing you a burger, you know. And I did need something like that to help ground me. But that was, that was amazing that he was able to show me that.
So this entire year I wanted to connect with the higher realm and my higher self, or channel, or connect with God, connect with Yeshua, all of that. But the biggest blockage that I had in my head was that I love meat, I love these burgers, I love these things. So then I felt, and then I would still eat them. So when I eat them, in my head I'm thinking that, okay, that's it, I won't be able to connect with God anymore. So when I read that book, and when you said that Yeshua asked you to eat that, and that he asked you to thank the driver, the person doing the packaging, the people in the marketing, the supply chain people, the driver who brought it to you, the waiter who served it to you, I realized that this is not just any burger. It's something. It's something. It's magical, because there were so many people that had to work behind it to bring it to you. So, on what basis can we say that, it's just a Wendy's burger, or it's just junk? Don't eat that. We've got to be grateful for everything. And my relationship with food changed, and also my the blockage that was there in me, where I felt like I couldn't connect with God, that just went away. And I started trusting that, okay, whatever is coming through, it's actually God. That was a big blockage for me. So that actually, like, for me, food was a big thing. I would joke that if there's one thing that's blocking me from ascension, that would be the pizza or the burger. So you took it off of me. Thank you so much
Good.
for that.
Yay. I'm not vegetarian anymore,
Oh, you're not
just so
vegetarian
you know.
anymore. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Someone also said that, even the animals, they also pick their soul contract. They know that they are coming here to be meal. So it's just taking off. I'm just finding all of the reasons to why not to hate food, or not to have a bad relationship with food. So
Yeah. It's so important that we are grateful for anything we put in our body, or grateful for anything. And yeah, he taught me that. And so it changes the energy of whatever we're putting in our body. And when we do that, it changes our energy too. So yay, good for you. That's awesome to hear. I'm
thank you for your book.
so happy. Oh, well, thank you for reading it.
So then tell us, then there were the times where you sat in the meditation, and this beautiful time where you remembered right from you being the spark of God. Can you describe what that felt like to see it?
How do you describe that? It felt, well, there's a couple of times that I remember being the spark. I didn't share, there's a lot I didn't share in the book. But in that particular moment, during that all night experience where I was after a soul clearing, how do I explain it? It felt exciting and profound. I felt excited and profound, but also a sense of sadness at the same time. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense.
Okay, yeah, because it was like new, and it wasn't in a personality way. It was in a because our spark, how I remember it for me anyway, was still aware that we are all connected, and that that I am part of source, right, of God. But I was excited. That part of me was excited for new adventures, new things. There was that newness. It Now that I'm describing it, it kind of reminds me now of like a kid going off to college, or going off on adventures, going across the world, they're kind of they're very excited, but they're kind of a little nervous and sad leaving home, leaving their
Yeah.
family kind of
Yeah.
thing. So it
Yeah.
was like that, but on a much more profound scale. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what, there was I kind of did like a past life regression workshop thing just so that I can do the past life thing. And in one of the things, the it was Tara doing it. And Tara said, now you open the door, imagine where you are. And like I have a very logical mind. I don't think I am very good at visualization or something. And I, even while doing the regression kind of thing, I was just thinking, this is just BS. None of this could be true, right? But at one point, she said, "What do you see?" And I kind of saw myself in this garden-like thing. I don't, even now when I'm explaining it, I don't know if what I'm saying is true or false. Yeah, but
Mm.
what happened was I saw myself looking like this glowy angel kind of thing person, and I was with God, and we were just so comfortable. Like we were in this big place. I was doing some work, and it didn't feel like work. It just felt like home. And then there came a moment when she told, now move to a significant moment, and there came a moment when I had to leave that place. And I left that place. And while I was leaving that place where it's God and all the other angels and all of that, I started weeping in my room. I started crying so much. And I'm like, what? Why? How is this possible? If I was imagining it, why would I feel this so much? Because it felt like that felt so much like home. It felt like I belonged there. It felt like I didn't have to prove anything to anybody. It felt like I was unconditionally loved. I was accepted for who I am in every sense. So when you say that, it was like, yeah, you're now going out for the adventure, but that home, because it's difficult to go back home now, right? We are here, we are enjoying the adventure, but it's not like I can go back now, or we don't know when we're going to go back. Can we go back?
Well, I think that's the goal.
Oh, that's the goal.
That's the goal, and we can. Yeah, I believe we can. Well, home isn't a place, right? That
Yeah,
with source, it's not really a
yeah,
place.
true.
It's it's an awareness, and
Yeah.
we're part of the infinite mind. So we can go there. We can go there in our meditations, in our, in our journeys, our out of body journeys, that kind of thing. I don't know how far up, high, or in we can go, depending on how much our bodies can handle and our consciousness can handle while we're still on this earth realm. But I also write in the book, share in the book, how I kept in my out of bodies, I kept reaching for a sun. I'd come out and I'm flying towards a sun. And I just knew as soon as I reached the sun, I would be with God. But I would come back to my body before I would reach it. But it kept coming, and um, and that's that was tied to my NDE. I realized afterwards, because
when you were open for when you were open to learn what the next rest of the story was, that's when you were able to reach the sun, and then they showed the rest of the information.
exactly, that's when I got the rest of the information from my NDE, being in that space with Christ, the Christ light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
NDEs are such big events. It would take so much time because like you said, there's no time over there, right? It's like this big download of all the information. And then we're going to take time processing what happened for our brain to put it in this linear time to process it. So it makes sense. Now, when you said that you remember being that spark of God, you remember how you look like, or what was it? Where you, how do you see all the other souls? Like, if you could describe all of us being one, what does that mean?
All of us are one to okay, so how I saw it, okay, was like a sun, basically like a sun, and the sparks, our sparks of who we are, soul sparks, different fractals of the sun. We look like a spark, just a spark of light, gorgeous, beautiful spark of light. and we sparked out from the center of the sun on rays of light. Ooh, and I get emotional talking about it, on these rays coming from the center of the sun, where I understand is the God's source, what we call, what we call source, and that's the center of who
What are you
we,
feeling
how
right
we
now?
exist. I feel emotion with it.
What kind of emotions coming up?
Uh, well, love, longing, profoundness, remembering. Although it's not on a logical level, it's more of it's a soul level.
Do
Yeah.
you remember? I mean, what can we remember? Like when we think about God, right? Can we feel his love? Does he have a personality? How does it feel like? Can you describe what you feel?
Well, when I consider Yeshua to be the expression of God. We're all expressions of God. Yeshua, who is the one who helped me, he is able to hold that God light, the light within him, the full spectrum of God's light within him, and he appears through that body that I recognize, being Christian in many lifetimes. So I do believe that God takes on forms, yes, uh, and we are all expressions of God. God is love. God is light. Light carries information. Love is what is the glue that keeps us together, that holds all of us together. And the love is just amazing. When I sit with the, I sit with him every day still, and talk to him all the time. And when I sit with him during my meditations, during my journaling or conversations, I mean, I just feel that at home. I feel at home no matter where I am when I'm with him. To me, that is God. I see God when I look in animals' eyes, children's eyes, that type of thing. I see God, right? That's God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God is everything. You know, when I had recently got Genevieve Tager on the podcast, and she was channeling the divine creator. And when I asked questions to the divine creator, he gave answers in a very neutral manner. Like there felt, uh, it's like I didn't, there's, it, like the answers were so profound, and it's something, it's very short answers. And I keep listening to it over and over again. And those short answers are now directing my life, when it's actually guiding my life right now, because they were short but they were profound. And you kind of feel like, but God kind of feels a little bit cold. you know
Cold.
yeah, cold. Like I asked, why can't you just stop all the wars? So God said, some people want to experience lack, some wants to experience glory. Who am I to stop it? I'm like, okay. So it's like, there's nothing is bad. War is not
That's right.
bad. This is not bad. So I'm like, okay. So that was beautiful. But when you speak to Yeshua, to me, because I did get Wendy on the podcast, so was channeling Yeshua too. Yeshua feels like this best friend kind of person who's like fun, and like you feel like he's always embracing you. Right, like he
Yes.
feels really close. He feels like a brother, he feels like a father. No, he feels more like a brother
Mhm.
kind of person. What is your relationship like with Yeshua? How does he, can you see him, can you hear his voice?
I don't hear his voice like I used to, but I do hear him, definitely. And he comes through in my own voice now, but I do every once in a while I'll hear it. He's my everything. He's the epitome of the divine masculine. He is the divine masculine in form, and so yeah, he's everything to me. How do you describe that? I mean, I think about him all the time, and I don't mean that I'm constantly, well, yeah, he's just like I do. If I have a question about something, I'm talking to him. I ask him. If I feel good about something, I'm telling him about it. I'm talking to him about it. So it's just natural for me now. It's been 20 something years since we've been, you know, working together, and he's my go-to, and he kept his promise. He keeps all his promises. He protects me and he takes care of me. And so there's no reason why I wouldn't include him in everything in my life.
There is in Hinduism, they depict the relationship with God in a very romantic manner, because they say that in order to know God, you've got to be in love with God. Because when you're in love with someone, you let go of your ego and you surrender to whatever the person has to say. You don't look at him like he's a stranger and you're like, does he have any motive? Should I split the bill? We don't have that kind of a thing. So we, so
I
yes,
love
what do
that.
you think?
That's true. That's how I feel about him. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
in love with him. I love him. I adore him, and he's my everything.
Yeah, I know what that feels like. So then, can
Good.
you tell us then what was the next life that you remembered? What is the part where you're talking about the amoeba part? What is that?
That was, I believe that was when, because you're talking about the soul clearing, where I saw a lot of lifetimes, and some of them were in rapid succession. The amoeba was, I believe that was Earth, coming to Earth and experiencing life on Earth. That my, it seemed like a first type of life. It was sort of sentient, kind of sentient. And I believe it was in water. Was it in water? I believe it was in water. Yeah, water. And I only had three things that I did that I cared about was eating, procreating, and releasing. Eat, release, procreate. That was all I did
That's like
as an
such a fun
amoeba.
life. Do you know how long you were doing the eat sleep procreation, for how many years?
No, it didn't. That
It
that
didn't
wasn't the
matter.
information I got. Yeah, it was there for me, show me that I experienced it. So then as long as, and then when I stopped being an amoeba, I moved up to another sentient type of sentience until I moved into the elemental world and animals and humans, the human
Tell
sentient
us
way
about
of
it.
life.
Yeah. So after the
Mhm.
amoeba, then what was the next one?
I think it was the elemental. Was it the fairy? I believe it was the fairy.
Eh, yeah.
Yeah, and that one was. I really loved that, being shown that one. That was really profound. Where it was a long millions probably of years ago, after the Earth was terraformed, and we took care of the nature elements on the planet, and I we were in a frequency where we could still be seen by we could see be seen by animals. Okay, um, we we were together on the planet and we lived in harmony with each other. So as a fairy, I carried a wand, and whenever a plant needed more light, I would use the wand was part of me. I used it to infuse light in the plant, and flying was just natural. It was just like walking. It was just flying. I was happy and we were happy. Um, and then I recall, and we lived thousands of years in one physical body because we were physical. And then human type beings came onto the planet, and we could see their heart, the energy of their heart, if they were golden hearted or dark hearted. And the dark hearted started using the elementals for our destroying the natural resources of the planet and destroying us, and also using us as for experiments and things like that. So we received help from the higher realms to move up in frequency so that they couldn't see us. The dark hearted ones couldn't see us any longer. The golden hearted ones could still see us. but not the dark-hearted ones. And we could see the beings' hearts. We could see their hearts.
How was that lifetime like? Like, were there families, or um, what did you guys do? What did you guys look like? Because in movies and in series, they show fairies as cute and small. Do you remember those kind of things?
Well, from my perspective, I guess I didn't consider myself small because that's what I did. I would just hung out with the plants and other fairies, and we were very lighthearted. We sang, dance. We loved to dance and sing, and very musical. Music was very important. Not all the fairies had wands. I remember that too, but because we had different jobs, and we had families.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And what kind of other jobs do you think they had? Because you mentioned that the light or the energy, you were able to point the energy through your hands and
through the
heal them
wand.
through
Hmm.
the wand. It
Yeah,
sounds like Reiki, right? So you were like
some
a
type of
clear,
healing energy. Yeah.
you were like, it sounds like you were a clear channel. So you were able to channel the energy from the universe because of how clear and lighthearted you were. And then you were able to heal even the plants.
That was my job, to take
That
care
is
of the
so.
plant kingdom.
Hmm. Do they still exist now? Do you think the fairies
Yes,
are still
I've
there?
seen them. Hmm.
Oh, you have.
Hmm.
How?
Well, you probably haven't gotten to the book yet about when I sat in my backyard. I was communicating with the fairies in the backyard in Texas and the mother tree, and communicating with nature.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
You said the trees were speaking to each other as well.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, I could hear them in the physical. I could hear them physically.
uh, what did they talk
Yes.
about? So Sharon can hear the trees speak to each other. I think you also spoke about a spider speaking to you too.
No, that wasn't me. I don't think so.
Okay, no,
Unless
fine. So,
I don't remember that. I mean, I love spiders, but yeah, I don't remember that part.
no,
Okay.
I think it was in Sarah Landon's book. So you
Okay.
heard you were laying under the tree, and then the tree was in your backyard, and then it was talking to the other tree in your neighbor's backyard. What were they talking to each other? Do you remember the conversation?
They no, it wasn't really communication between them like how we communicate. What she was doing, the mother tree. It was the mother tree that I was communicating with, and she was showing me or telling me, communicating with me who were the mate was in the other her mate was in the other yard, so to speak. I recognize as the other yard, and she was showing me who her offspring were. Yeah, and so she was a pecan tree, beautiful big pecan tree, gorgeous tree, and she helped me heal a lot, and so she was as they were they communicate with each other. I through not through words like us, and it's mainly through I didn't eavesdrop on them, but what I get is it was it was about you know mundane, we would consider mundane stuff, yeah.
You're like, look at Sharon doing nothing, just laying under the tree, relaxing. you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it would I would say it would more along the lines of nourishing each other, uh, communicating that way, and sending of love, of course, and supporting each other,
hmm.
and just
Can
being
you?
trees.
Hmm. Just being trees. After I read that part, I went to my bedroom and I saw the trees leaves next to the window. And I went and opened the tree and I opened the window and I touched it. And I felt like the tree told me, finally, after all of these years, you're looking at me. I'm like,
Aw. Oh,
so
nice. I love that.
yeah, I think it's, now I'm very visual. I don't know what's happening to me anymore. So it just
Good.
happens. Tell us about the time where you were a witch, and also you said that you're abuser in this lifetime, right? You guys
Mhm.
had a connection all of those years back. Do you remember when it started, and what was the lesson that you had to learn?
Yes, it started um, during the ancient Roman days when my mother and I had a past life, and we made an agreement with the abuser in this life where he would kill my mother and I because we were killing others. She was a regent and I was her daughter, and we were killing others. So to close that karmic loop, we made that soul agreement that he would come into the family and kill us the same way we killed others, which was throw us to the lions. And so it started there. And working with Yeshua, he helped me see that lifetime and helped me do soul retrieval. That's now I know how to do soul retrieval, and I work with other people with that. And because he helped me with that, everything he helped me with is metaphysical teachings, which is why I find my book very unique because you don't hear about Yeshua, that at least I don't, helping someone with metaphysical types of healing, right? And everything that he helped me with is basically metaphysical type of healing. So so we, my mother and I, ended up getting stuck in that loop, that on in that experience, the trauma of that experience. So he helped me remember that experience during my meditation and go in and retrieve that part of my soul that was fragmented, and also my mother and the lions, because they were also traumatized because they were abused and they were starved. So they stayed with us, and I learned with working with him as well, and my own with my own soul retrievals, that animals can get stuck with us too. So I have a chapter on retrieving our animal companions that may be stuck with us, like in wartime or something like that. And so I had a dog who's on the other side now, but I remembered her. She was a rescue, and she had been with me in many, many lifetimes. So that was the lifetime that started this chain of events, or this pattern, these agreements where he would come back. He agreed to come back and be with me in other lifetimes where I could heal and bring those traumas into the whole, because that part of my soul was fragmented. And that's when I saw the lifetime as a witch, where I was burned as a witch. I didn't see what the lifetime was. I just saw where I was burned, and I saw him burned at the stake, and I saw him, who I recognized, pacing back and forth. It was very eerie. Well, I'm floating above my body, being burned as a witch. It was in Germany. I remember that. And I was probably a herbalist or a healer or something, and I felt pure hate from him in that moment as I was seeing that lifetime.
Do you like when you think about that lifetime, when they say witches, you were just being a healer. It's not like you were doing anything like black magic or anything. I mean, why were so many, because I hear all of these things where all so many witches were killed. Can you talk about why that happened, and um, what scared the people? Because I feel like even now a lot of the healers and things like that, when we talk about it, it still scares people. So they probably still have those memories from the past as well. And why were people scared?
Yes, I've helped a lot of people with soul retrieval. Have come to me that are healers now, or work in some type of practice, and can't quite dive in deep in their gifts and abilities because they were tortured or murdered, because they were burned as a witch or hung as a witch or something like that, marked as a witch. And what I understand is I learn history from my from past lives, seeing past lives. But we already know this in history anyway. It's pretty common knowledge that the Vatican, started the Crusades against the Druids and the pagan religion, the Earth religions, and to wipe them out and trying to convert them. And that's they would arrest people that didn't convert as and brand them as a witch, male and female. I mean, even happened in the States not that long ago. So yeah, and all these people had to do was be upset with someone basically and accuse them of being a witch, and uh, and that's when the mock trials might happen.
When you say, like, what I'm thinking is, so you when you and your mother in your lifetime in the Roman era, when you were killing other people by throwing them to the lions, was this also something that you picked in your soul contract? Like, do you think you would have already picked, okay, I am going to kill people? Do people do that? They do?
Yes. What I understand, okay, is that we pick both sides of the coin. Like you were saying earlier, there's like God said, well, some people pick, when she was channeling
Hmm.
present
Some
or
people
the,
pick.
yeah, some people pick to be the perpetrator, some people pick to be the, what we call a victim. And then, we'd change roles. Some people like being a perpetrator, so they might have a lot of experiences like that, or they haven't healed being a perpetrator, and their soul might be marked, and or they might have that shadow and feeling guilty, and feeling so much guilt that they aren't able to heal it, and they might come back caught up in a loop with that and not knowing how to heal it. So there's all kinds of reasons why we might get stuck in a loop. But yeah, that's what we do. I don't like being a perpetrator, so
Oh, so now, now you're like the other end of the spectrum. You've already
I'm like,
experienced that.
I'm done with both sides. But yeah, but when you get to a
Now I
certain
get it.
frequency, it's like it's a lot harder to be a perpetrator than it is to be the perpetratee, or the ones
Mhm.
one on the other side.
Okay, that makes sense. So when the person who burnt you at the stake, right? So when he chooses that, he's choosing to be the abuser. When he chooses that, isn't he afraid, or like, don't we have any consequences because he did that? Isn't he going to be in some sort of karmic loop where now he has to get abused, and then the next abuse, the victim has to get abused? Like, isn't it going to keep on going on and on?
Not when you break the pattern. And what I worked extensively with Yeshua on, and that's why I came back. That's why he sent me back to Earth. Is you got to fix this, you got to heal this. Yeah, totally. And not just for you, but for my whole soul family, or my soul family that it does affect. Is that he and I made that agreement, because since I was still stuck on the in the trauma of that first lifetime, I asked him, "Hey, I didn't. There's still part of me stuck down there on Earth, part of my soul. Can you come with me and trigger something in me, and put me in that position again, to where I might be able to heal it and bring that part of my soul in, that fragmented part of my soul in, so I can heal it in that lifetime." Yeah, and he's like, "All right, I got to be a bad guy again. Okay." so, so that's when I realized, and I write about that in the book, that he loved me so much that he would lower his frequency to being a perpetrator in these few lifetimes that we had together, so that I would be able to forgive it, first of all, forgive it, and bring the trauma, bring the experience into the whole. Now he's free to raise his frequency and move on his spiritual path, where he doesn't have to keep being a jerk, and or whatever. I mean, he has soul contracts with other people too, of course, but with me, it he doesn't have to worry about that anymore, and I don't either.
Wow. That is a very different perspective. So it means that when we are going through, like, let's say, when we are going through an, what can I say, abuse, right? When we go through an abuse, if I went through an abuse in this lifetime and I allow that to consume my life forever, and I keep thinking about it and I keep playing the victim card, then I didn't learn my lesson. And if so, I will probably choose to come back again and say that I want to go through the same thing again, so that this time at least I would get another opportunity to heal that and then close it and never go through it again. And someone else will have to say, yes, I will choose to be your abuser, because then he also has to go through that low vibrational earth life, and deal with, because it's not easy to be like that. You're going to attract all the low vibrational opportunities or junk, and he has to deal with that. So that makes sense, because you did mention that in the book. You said that the people who challenge us the most love us the most too. at the time that you met your abuser and you gave him a hug.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, afterwards. I mean, look at Christ. He was crucified and he forgave everyone, and that's a prime example right there. He didn't have to repeat it. He didn't, die mad. He didn't die angry. He forgave everyone.
correct. Otherwise, he would have had to. That's right. Oh, yeah. When he, right, that's right. So then, oh, yeah, you're right. Because when he did that, when all of these people, they abused him, they mocked him, they killed him, they spat on him, beat him, finally crucified him, when he forgave all of them, we healed all those things on the planet.
Yes.
That now makes sense, because I keep asking, why did he have to die that way? Because he could have, he knows, he has so much knowledge, he could have just evaded that, he could have avoided putting himself in that situation, right? So okay, now that makes total sense as to why he did that. Can you talk about your most loved lifetime of being the mermaid?
Well, the whole thing, yeah, that lifetime definitely is. I mean, I love this life too, for sure. But the mermaid is it's in the fifth dimension, so it's
Oh, fifth
amazing.
dimension is close, right? For
Hmm.
us, no? Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yes, yeah. So it's in the fifth dimension, what I understand in the on that planet, and uh, yeah, that's where I'll return someday somehow. It,
Hmm.
I don't know how to explain it other than that.
No, you spoke about your partner, the your partner over there, and how you were so in love with him, and how you had children. The way procreation happened in that planet.
Right? Yeah. It's different than humans. It's
Yeah,
more
I've
intense. It's very intense. Yeah.
it's
And
yeah.
yeah. So I still have those experiences when I go out of body. So it's not it we can have those experiences here too, of course, with tantra, tantric lovemaking and things like that, which is what Yeshua taught me as well. But in the water world, it's a merging that is undescribable, indescribable, and um, yeah, the procreation's different. We hold, I share an experience where I saw that I was nursing a baby, but I remembered also that when a baby is born, the gestation period is shorter, and when the baby is born, the mother holds her next to her in her chest all the time, carries her there all the time, and nurses her until she's able to nourish herself in the waters. Yeah. So she's never separated from the mother for when she's out of the body, because she still needs the mother to be there, be her support system.
Hmm. And do you know how they look like, the mermaids? Is it just like how we see it in movies?
Um, yeah, kind of. Uh, I remember my skin is pale. I've seen myself as a mermaid so many times. Excuse me. And the thing that struck me the most was how strong I am. My body is just so freaking strong, and I could feel how strong my body is. And yeah, I mean, the typical mermaid, human type upper body, and the fish type bottom
Lower body.
lower body. Yeah, so a beautiful, beautiful, scaly, iridescent skin, gorgeous, just stunning.
Yeah, in Dolores Cannon's book, also she speaks about the time in Atlantean era where people were making this half human, half animal kind of things. So probably they were all just trying to recreate things from their memories as well.
I believe that. And I also believe that there were natural aquatic beings, mermaids on the planet during Atlantis as well. So I don't think that it was all that they were all genetically modified.
They were natural ones. When we think about right now in the collective consciousness right now, I hear so many stories like this way. You remember your past lives. People have NDEs. Do you think there is that this is has always been there, or is there something different that's happening right now on the planet?
With people remembering near-death
Yeah,
experiences?
people remembering their past
Yeah.
lives, trying to heal it,
Oh,
or
okay.
having, yeah.
hmm I think that we've all always had the ability, and it was probably a lot easier for us, when we didn't have distractions like we have now, and things that trying to stop us from remembering who we really are, that type of thing. But when we lived in communities and and lived in close to the earth and that type of thing, I believe it was natural for us. We used to know how to heal a lot easier than we do now. It was on a natural way, and that's why we were killed for it.
Hmm.
I believe so. But those things are turning around. Yeah, so I think it's natural. I think it's natural for us to connect to the higher planes and travel, you know, um, outside of our body and outside of our physical realm. Indigenous people do it all the time,
Hmm. How
and
do we know if we are
travel days.
how do we know if there is trauma in ourselves? How does it come out?
Well, if there's something in that that gets in the way of moving forward in life, of you or anyone, not you in particular, but whoever's watching, if you might have that question, if there's anything that's going on in your life that you have trouble getting through, that you're stuck in, if you feel stuck, if you feel lost, if if you've had trauma in your life and you feel like you can't get over it, that type of thing, or something's going on where you feel grief and you don't know why. If you feel guilty about something, you don't know why, that could definitely be past life trauma that hasn't been healed. If you feel like you can't let go of someone or something, um, there's more than likely something there that's keeping. I mean, 100% sure that if we're not happy in life and living the life that we want, there's something there that's keeping us from doing that, and that's what we need to heal.
When you say soul retrieval, right? What exactly does that mean and how do you do that?
Soul retrieval is capturing a fragmented part of our soul that's still stuck in trauma, like I was with that part of my soul, that personality that was still stuck energetically in the ancient Roman days with the lions and with my mother when I was killed there. I've had a really big one for me too was the Civil War lifetime as Prudence, where I lost my children, and I blamed myself for that one. And that was what I understand was the probably the last lifetime I had before this one, because that was really profound. It was hard for me to retrieve, and I didn't feel worthy of having children in this lifetime. And I share a story about having children in this lifetime in the book.
You mentioned about the prudence when you met Prue and the husband and the children. They had so much trauma in them that they were still walking on the planet, not knowing where to go, not knowing where the light is. And you had to go into that state, into the meditative state to retrieve them. Is that what it means? Retrieval?
Yes, bring bring that part of our soul, that fragmented part of our soul, into the Christ light. And it basically always comes down to forgiveness and fear of being judged. Also, Christianity can cause, fundamental Christianity can cause that, or any kind of fundamental religion that talks about judgment and punishment can cause a part of our soul to be still stuck on the earth plane, because afraid of God's judgment type of thing. So I come across that quite a bit in my work. Yeah, so there's all kinds of reasons why we might become fragmented. We could become fragmented during our day. If something traumatic happens, we get into, maybe a big fight with someone, and it affects us. You know, so we really should take, at the end of the day, bring in parts of us that we leave somewhere during our day. And it doesn't have to be super traumatic, but it can be where we've just left our part of us somewhere.
So when people come to you for their do you put them in a meditative state, or what is the process like to do it, or do you just get downloads?
hmm if we're doing soul retrieval, that type of thing, past life soul retrieval, I can do work with them where we enter a light trance state together, and I'm able to see past lives for people. I'm able to go into the records. I also teach classes on how to do this on your own. So, because I have an academy, and because we all used to know how to do this, and so we can all do it on our own. And that's one thing that Yeshua wanted me to help people with. And so we could do that together. We go through that process together, and I'll dive into any lifetime that comes up for the person as I'm channeling from the other side, and it always makes sense to the client. Oh, well, that's why I am the way I am, or oh, that's no wonder, that makes sense, that kind of thing. And so just bringing that part into the whole can will be very life changing, definitely. And also, I'm a hypnotherapist as well, if people prefer regression.
So if they could go to Akashic records if that's what they believe in, or hypnotherapy is something that a lot of people would, like the logical people would be able to believe in that part. So it makes sense. So if you're struggling with any sort of trauma, or if you're not able to move forward in life, then Sharon would be help you will be able to help you out in that. Um, you know when we ask Yeshua about past lives, or um, like I think one of the biggest questions we have is, how do we forgive ourselves, right? Because there was a time when this time I think I was reading the Course in Miracles book, yeah, and I didn't realize that there was something in me that I had not forgiven. And I realized that I forgive people. Like I can easily forgive people and just move on. But there was a part of me in me that I had not forgiven for something that I did when I was in my early 20s, which is not such a big deal, because now when I think about it, I wanted to, like, I had a boyfriend, and in Indian community, that's like such a big deal, right? So I was like, that's it. I did a big crime. Now that's why I'm being punished. So that thing was still stuck in me. So when you say that, when you go to your past life, so when you say Prudence in her Civil War lifetime, where the children fell, but she felt that it was her fault when it wasn't, right? So, how could we, like, what strategy could we use to find reasons as to why I should forgive myself?
Yeah, there's no really logical way of doing it. I can share how Yeshua taught me.
Yeah, tell me.
Okay. He taught me to think of any situation where you don't, and even if you don't know if there's a situation, but you just find it hard to forgive yourself about something. Imagine in your meditation, just imagine, and you can do this with anything or anyone. Just imagine you in front of you telling yourself, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, with that in mind. Fake it till you make it. That's how I did it, until you feel it and you know it's real, and you'll find that breakthrough. It'll come if you stay persistent with it. and disciplined and dedicated, I promise that it will come. That breakthrough will come. You'll have that.
That makes sense. Yeah. When you sit in a meditation, these visions will come through. And that's kind of how it came through for me too. I sat and I asked what it is. And then it's like certain things started, like things that I thought I had forgotten started coming up. So when you just sit with yourself in meditation, it would come
Yes.
up. Makes sense. Um, what can we do to connect with Yeshua more? How can I see or hear Yeshua?
I would just ask him to come to you.
Oh,
Ask him
is
to
it?
be present with you, and I would suggest have a dedicated time to be with him, and and stay true to that. That's how I was able to do it, and I am true to that. And include him in your life. Ask him to show you that he's around, give you signs. And do you know about? I don't know. Well, you're in Dubai, but do you know about the show The Chosen? Have you heard of The Chosen? I think it's pretty much all over the world by now.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Chosen, the
Okay,
series. Yes.
the series The Chosen. Well, I started watching that, and I actually was had had resistance to watching it because I have my own personal relationship with Christ, and I hadn't seen anything so far in TV that really compared to how how I see him. So I finally watched. It just showed up one day in my feed when I was sitting down to relax to watch TV at the end of the night, and so I said, "Okay, I'll watch it." I got hooked, and as I was watching it, synchronicity started happening all around me, where he was showing me that he's with me watching it, and he was thanking me for watching it because it's such a profound series, I felt, and it's really, really good. And I was actually starting to see what the next show was going to be. I was seeing into the future as well. So it opened up a portal within me to be closer, even closer to him. So I would say as well is, you know, study A Course in Miracles. There's another study guide called the Way of Mastery, which is really good, and that brings him close. And when I open up that book and sit with that, I feel him very strongly with me. Those are his true teachings, like A Course in Miracles, but it's a little more palatable. I feel, yeah. And get my book. Hey, yeah, and get my book because you'll feel him in here. I promise.
Yeah, you can feel like the real connection, like a human sort of connection with God, because with Yeshua. In Course in Miracles, it's more like a teacher relationship. But in the book, you get to see where Yeshua is just like this friend sitting with you all the time, having a chat with you, having a back and forth discussion with you. It's just so beautiful. If
Yes,
there is
that's how
a
he is in the Way of Mastery too. Excuse me, but that's how Tanya. That's how he is in the Way of Mastery. That
The way of mastery
relationship
is
with the
also
channeler.
channeled? Oh, no,
Yes,
it's
yes,
okay.
yeah,
It's not channeled messages, but it's like the awakened, like someone's relationship with Yeshua. Is it like that?
yes. It is, and he sits with him and channels the teachings in a group of people, and then they transcribe them in the Way of Mastery. I have it right here. I think the study guide. Yeah, right here. The study guide right here.
Oh, this is also pretty big, right?
Yeah, this is 3 books in one.
Oh,
So
3 books in one.
yeah, you can get them
Do
separate.
you do you think Yeshua would just come down and like teach us? Like, like how I could just go to this graduation. I have so many books, I just want to go and like do a 3-year course and like get the degree.
I know, right? Well, this is like a conduit for him. And we have to open portals. That's what we have to do. We have to open portals and take the time and the energy and the focus to meet him in that portal. This is the portal right here. This is how he met me in this portal. I don't know if you can see it
Oh.
very well. This is the
W- w-
portal.
What does a portal mean when you say
It,
portal?
this A portal is a tunnel or a highway between worlds. So we need to open up that in certain things that we do. and focus on in our meditations, and in our everyday life too. We're opening portals all the time. Everything's basically a portal. And so we open up these highways in between realms, in between worlds and frequencies.
So when I read your book and I get to know more about Yeshua, that's a portal. If I
That's a
watch the
portal.
chose if I watch the Chosen series,
That's
that
a
makes
portal.
sense because in the Bible
Yeah.
God says, "Seek me and you will find me." So when you keep seeking God through or
Hmm.
Yeshua through these different books and resources, even YouTube videos and all of that,
That's a portal. Yeah.
okay, now I understand what portals mean. I thought it's just inaccessible to normal humans. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I
Of
think
course.
in this episode you clarified a lot of things for me and hopefully to the audience as well, where these big terminologies that we call as portals, soul retrieval, and then all of these things, you made it simple for us. It's it's absolutely amazing that you came up and spoke to us about all of these things. And from our conversation, what I can understand is that this life is beautiful and magical. Everything that's happening in life is for our own good. If there is a message that you can give to anyone watching this episode, what would that be? Do you have a final message?
Oh gosh, yes. Well, what you said, putting it in simple terms is perfect, because Yeshua says that in the way of mastery, that it's really simple.
It's
It is
really
really
simple.
simple to find the kingdom. It is. We don't
For
have to make
him.
it complicated.
Yeah,
It's just be our true selves, be authentic, be love, be kind to others, be kind to ourselves, and don't worry, because everything's going to be okay.
that's beautiful. Sharon, where can we find you and can you talk about your course as well?
Yes, well, my website is SharonSananda.com, SharonSananda.com. And I do have an academy where I teach courses, and I have other practitioners there as well. And my next, let's see, my next class, I took August off for the summer. I'm doing a presentation on out-of-body experiences and a Q&A. That's my next kind of a class. And after that, I will be doing a course on automatic writing and channeling,
Mm. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
in October. Mhm.
Wow.
And so
What
I
if
have quite a few courses: psychic development, mediumship development, and past life soul retrieval as well. Yeah.
which one out of all of these courses would be your favorite?
Oh, I love them all, but I think past life soul retrieval might be my favorite, because I see how much it heals.
When you say channeling, you have course on channeling and out of body experiences and stuff. Mm, who could come and take these courses? Because what if I can't do it? Like, what if I mean, is it there in the soul contract where, okay, this person can do it and this person cannot do it? Or can anyone do it?
No, anyone can do it. It's just a matter of trusting what you're getting and what you're doing. We all have the ability. We're all channeling anyway. Just depends on what we're channeling, right? Because we're all bringing in, even in this conversation, we're bringing in information from somewhere. So we're channeling. So it's just a matter of diving in deeper. And in the channeling course, automatic writing and channeling, I help with diving in deeper into your soul, and then start to tap into where you're not, you recognize that it's not your conscious self writing. It starts with writing, and you're tapping into the higher planes, and you're bringing through guidance from your guidance system, your spirit team. And then we move from there to voice channeling. Anyone can do it. It's just a matter of trusting.
Can you explain? I know this. I should have probably asked this on the first part of this interview, but can you explain what exactly is channeling? And if there is because when I use the word channeling, there's a blockage that's created in people's, and then they don't listen to the rest of the conversation. But if I can use another word, or if I can explain it in a more simple, everyday terminology, how can I do that?
Okay, let's see. Good question. Okay. I know some people get all, channeling. Yeah. Well, we're all connected anyway. We're connected to everyone, everything. And what we can do, what we have the ability to do is move in deeper past the ego, go past the ego, and tap into our higher self or higher guidance and bring that through, whether it be on pen and paper, keyboard, or through our voice. Our voice box is our tool. Our pen is our tool. Our keyboard is our tool. And what we're doing is just bringing in insights from our higher parts of ourself, our higher guidance, God source, whatever we are bringing through. And we give permission to do that when we're when we're being creative, we're channeling. When we're writing, I was channeling this, from memory, and also as I was writing it, I was remembering more and more and healing more and more. So, so anyone who writes knows that it's you get in the flow, you get in the what do they call it, the zone. That's channeling. You're just an open vessel.
The word that's coming to my head is tuning in. Like, let's say we are in this big room and you have so many people yelling at you, and then you want to focus on your mom and see what she wants to talk to you. You just tune in on her, you focus in on her, and then you hear what her message is. And when we are channeling, or we call it as maybe focusing or tuning in, we are just eradicating all the noise around us, what the neighbor said, what your teacher said, all of that. And then you're just focusing on, okay, what do I want, what am I saying? So maybe I should start calling it tuning in.
Tuning in. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's like tuning a radio dial where you tune out the static and you tune into the station that you want to listen to. And then you just use your tools to bring it through.
Yeah, makes sense. Beautiful. So, all of the resources that were mentioned today will be at www.celestevolve.com/episode/24. The book, Sharon's wonderful book, her courses, website, all the details will be there. And I hope you would go and check it out. You must read the book. It's beautiful. There's so much we haven't covered. It is called The Awakened Soul. And like, if Sharon would probably have her own series one day. I hope that happens.
Well, I'm
And
definitely working on my book series. Awakened
book
Soul
series.
2, yes, is in the
Oh,
works now.
that's awesome.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much, Sharon, for coming on the podcast and speaking to us today. We really appreciate it. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you, Tanya. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.